Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely fantastic day, and without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Hopefully this video isn't as crazy as the last two, but there's definitely still a lot of really interesting things going on within the cryptocurrency space. This has been anticipated for a very long time, and now I hope that we end up getting an answer to this over the course of the next couple of weeks, just to kind of end speculation about this event that we know is going to take place. It's just a matter of it actually happening. It says the XRP community is anticipating Ripple to finally make statements about their initial public offering, their IPO, to go public at the Ripple Swell. Wow, I haven't heard that in a while. The Ripple Swell conference, which this year will be held in Dubai. If you have not been here since 2018, it's definitely been since 2018. Ripple has like a yearly conference, the same as like the Bitcoin conference. There's an ETH Mania, I don't know what they call it, that happens every single year. Cardano also has one, what have you. The one for Ripple years ago was basically, I mean, they're all kind of the same, if we can be completely honest with ourselves. Someone goes on stage, they talk about new developments, new partners, new focus, new this, new implementations, etc., etc. The last couple of years, Ripple was not, able to go public within the United States, which has been a major talking point for a number of years. In 2018, we got the first whispers that Ripple was looking to go public. And this is why a lot of times if you look at older or even sometimes current price speculation surrounding XRP, it's not just around XRP per se. It also has to do with the company going public, having tons of people have access to them and their blah, blah, so-and-so, and then people finding out about XRP, people buying up XRP. A Ripple stock debuted a random number at $1 and then went up to $47. You can logically assume that people would be trying to buy everything that is even remotely touching Ripple, therefore XRP, etc., etc. But because of the lawsuit within the United States, because of the US SEC, they haven't basically been able to do so. So now there's tons of speculation as to when they're going to announce it. I believe sometime in the summer of this year. We heard from Garlinghouse, I think on Twitter, who said that they still have aspirations of going public. But, you know, with the lawsuit, the yada, 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 they probably simply aren't able to do so, and or who knows exactly what's going on at this point with anything within the cryptocurrency space. A pivotal event all the time. Swell usually really gets people going as to what's going to happen with Ripple. A lot of times it's very similar to the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones, where basically people are talking about the future implementations, or like there's news of like a partnership. I don't know what many people want in that. At these events yearly, someone will announce that some mega company is going to be using Bitcoin. Someone will say that there's implementations and future usage of Ethereum by a government. We'll hear that 3 banks are signing up to work with Ripple to implement XRP, but it usually does nothing for the price. That's what I mean, like when I say, what do people want? Everyone hypes up these events as if we're going to hear Brad Garlinghouse step on stage and go, all right, tomorrow XRP is $10,000. And it's more of that's not how things ever work. So always a lot of hype moving into Swell and any other event, but then when they're over, everyone's like, I expected more. And I'm like, what? What exactly did you want? Swell will apparently be taking place within the next 3 weeks. This has prompted speculations about the likelihood of Ripple making significant statements regarding going public at the conference. Prominent figures within the XRP community have theorized that Ripple might want to use the occasion to officially disclose their intention to go public via an IPO. It would be, to me, a little bit weird if Ripple went to the Middle East to announce that they're going to be going public in the United States. I feel like I'm missing something. And I think the aspirations that the community has for Ripple to go public are a little bit similar to, oh my gosh, we need a Bitcoin ETF before the market can do anything. Ripple by itself is already a major company. They're already doing a lot. They already are working with multiple dozens of countries around the world and central banks to implement central bank digital currencies, but it never seems like enough. For some reason, within the cryptocurrency space, I think people are so brainwashed to believe that the only thing positive for this new age system, crypto, to succeed is to be properly intertwined into the old system. We can't do anything until Bitcoin has a physical ETF. We need Gary Gensler to stand on stage and say, yes, you are now allowed to do the thing that I did not allow you to do. Then and only then will Bitcoin hit 400,000. We need Ripple, regardless of the fact that XRP is a worldwide currency and is being used and will be used by dozens of central banks to have their central bank digital currency on top of it. The only thing that will give XRP value is if Ripple goes to the New York Stock Exchange and has their stock listed on it. It's this really weird warp that we're constantly going through where no one cares about the actual metrics. It's so important to have the metrics. People just care about the price and how high the price can go because something else ended up happening, as opposed to being like, logically, we continued to move up every cycle more and more based on actual usage. We don't need hype. Of course, Ripple going public will cause the coin to probably hit 18, 19, 22 something or other dollars sometime in the future. But it's always this like, we need this now. Okay, we got that now, we need this. You know, it's always this like loop of other things that we need before anything else major can actually happen. I don't know who this person is, but someone called Wrath of Kahneman. It keeps abbreviating it as WOK. Basically wrote on Twitter as to what people could potentially see. He said the IPO, that's them going public. The VARA license, I could have sworn they already had that. That's like a license to basically do business. Central bank digital currencies, which is what we've been talking about. It could be that they announce, which is usually what happens. They announce like a new partner. So every year they always say, we've been doing business here. We've been doing business here. We have new payment channels open between this country, and they're using XRP. So as we heard earlier this year, that there's a huge amount of implementation by countries. I think we only know a dozen of them. And apparently the other 18 we've yet to know because of a non-disclosure agreements. So it could be that we also hear about a new country building a central bank digital currency or what have you on top of the XRP ledger. So cool. As you can only imagine, this will probably continue to be major news, especially once we have the actual swell event. I hope they announce something significant. They always do, but people never assume that it's enough because prices don't skyrocket by 8,000%. I think the first two swell conferences that they had, oh my gosh, the things that people thought that they were going to say. They were expecting Brad Garlinghouse. What was one of them? They were expecting Brad Garlinghouse to like come out dressed as like, what was that weird photo that someone drew of like a bear sitting on like a throne with like a crown and all this other stuff? And they were expecting the day of the swell event for XRP to hit 589. And I'm like, why always the crazy expectations when it comes to this coin? So cool. The swell event is coming up. When swell happens, we will hear if swell is actually swell. And without further ado, or sure, why not? Okay, let's move on. In what I believe to be some type of corruption news, over the years, Tether has constantly been in the spotlight. Originally, I believed back in 2017, 2018, that a large portion of the Tether news and or Tether being something negative, I was very naive. I believed that it had to do with the idea of trying to replace Bitcoin. That is to say, the vast majority of news at the time was that, one, I still believe this part. We don't really need stable coins, but I do understand if you are a cryptocurrency day trader or you want a safe haven, stable space for your money to go into during fluctuations within the market, cool, we have Tether. The other side that I believed, which was the pushed narrative, was that Tether for some reason was created to basically try and destroy Bitcoin. We would no longer need Bitcoin because now we have a one-to-one value for the US dollar in digital cryptocurrency, digital coin token form. Fantastic. What a lot of this actually had to do is there were multiple other companies who were rapidly trying to create their own stable coins because they figured out that it was a thing. The idea of a stable coin long ago was nothing that made sense in the human mind. Companies had tried it before, similar to PayPal and DigiCash. It didn't work out. The whole thing fell apart. But with decentralization and blockchain and all these new trust methods, the idea of having a stable coin that other people could use basically was like a gigantic cash cow. As Tether was the first to do this, they implemented it quite successfully. They had a number of companies, a number of other institutions and banks who were working with them in order to collateralize the coin and get people to use it, and you name it. It was all there. People began to then announce that something was wrong with Tether, and this was around the time that we started hearing Tether's run by the wrong people. Tether doesn't have enough money. Who is funding Tether? Blah, you name it, everything under the sun was wrong with Tether. This had to do with the fact that these companies who had been trying for a year to make their own stablecoin finally created them, and they were trying to discredit Tether in any possible way that they could think of doing, especially by saying that Tether didn't have the reserves to back up all of their Tether. This was around the time when the people from Tether began to announce that they have all their reserves and they had a bunch of companies who were going to do audits. I think in 1 year they had 3 companies who went to go do the audits. And then I think one of them said something like we weren't allowed onto all their computers and therefore we couldn't do a full audit. 2 of the other ones, I think they were able to do it, but because one of them said they couldn't have a full audit, then something was once again wrong with Tether all over again. And I think a lot of this I believe that a lot of this has been pushed by companies, because understand this is all about money. I know that sounds trivial and it sounds like, oh, well, is that it? No, you don't get how thirsty these people are to own everything. A lot of times, especially if you live a relatively normal life, I don't think I live a very extravagant life with my 50-cent coat. But you don't understand what these people will do and what they will say to try and get other companies to completely collapse and fall down to zero so they can make a buck. It's quite common in the financial world, and you need to open your eyes a little bit more to really see it within the cryptocurrency space because it is omnipresent nearly all the time. A lot of the discussion around Tether, usually like parallel driving down the street at the same time, is usually Binance. Binance became popular at a time where the Gemini twins and Coinbase believed that they were it. We went over that years ago. We still go over it sometimes now. They believed because they were the first companies in the market to really get, it's not even regulatory approval, to get all the paperwork and everything done, that they were basically the golden boys within the space. Binance appears sometime, I believe, in 2017. They take over the entire cryptocurrency market because the original ethos for Gemini was Bitcoin only. So Gemini didn't get much attention because they weren't listing other coins and or stable coins either. Same exact thing generally held true for Coinbase up until around 2017. If you've been here for a while, you might remember this. Coinbase also slightly had a Bitcoin only kind of thing going on, and then they added Ethereum, they added Litecoin. It was a very specific amount of coins that they had on their platform. Someone lied at some point and said that something was wrong with Bitcoin. They had to make their own new Bitcoin, so they forked off of Bitcoin and made Bitcoin Cash. This drove everyone in the community literally insane because the idea was, one, people didn't realize that protocols could be forked, but also two, everyone who originally held Bitcoin would also receive an equal amount of Bitcoin Cash. So what happened is that people on Coinbase began to realize from rumors on Twitter and other social media platforms that anyone who had BTC also was receiving an equal amount of BCH. This is when Coinbase sent out a thing. It was a publication and they were like, hey, we're not going to be giving anyone Bitcoin Cash. We prefer to just have Bitcoin in our platform. Everyone lost it, or a lot of people lost it, and were like, hey, if the weirdest one that I can remember is someone was like, if I have a cow and that cow makes milk, that milk is mine. So Coinbase was basically forced to start adding different coins onto their platform, but it was still very slim. It was like 4 coins every half a year. Binance rolls around and they're like, cool, we have 3,000 coins on the market. Let's add 3,000 coins onto our platform. They spread around the world. Everyone loved them. And this is why we saw the problem with regulators, because behind the scenes, always about money, these people have been trying to make their own cryptocurrency exchanges, their own places where they could tell their citizens, you have to use this website, you have to go here, you have to do what we say. But they were already using Binance. And this is why we've seen such a furious kick up of dust over Tether and over Binance. They did what other people didn't think about doing, and now they're in ways being punished for basically being the first market movers, especially in a world where we've been hearing from a number of different countries that they plan on making their own cryptocurrency exchanges. It won't work out as well if Binance is there. We want to make our own stable coins and our own central bank digital currencies. It won't work out as well because Tether is already there. 2 U.S. elected officials have written to the Department of Justice calling for a concluded investigation on Binance and Tether that could lead to litigation against the pair of crypto heavyweights. Understand why 2 people anywhere, especially higher ups within the United States government, would take out time from their day to make sure that they try to get 2 companies in trouble who have only shown up until this point that they are, as much as they can be as a company, transparent. Senator Cynthia Lummis, who has been in the news a lot, she is apparently a hyper pro Bitcoin person. She has very interesting views on the world, who sits on the Senate Banking Committee, cited an 10th of October Wall Street Journal report claiming that Binance and Tether apparently, allegedly, were helping. I can't say this word out loud. You've been hearing what's been happening in the news, like recently in the news, in a certain part of the world. That part. You know exactly what I'm talking about. In really weird, once again, news, the Wall Street Journal, who over the last 4 years, if you look back at their publications, nearly every time that we have received the news that something is wrong with Binance and or Tether, the news source is typically the Wall Street Journal. Keep that in your mind. The last 4 years, anything wrong with Tether or Binance, Tether's a fraud. Tether has no reserves. Remember back years ago where they said that Tether was working with China, or that Tether had more Chinese yuan than they actually did US dollars backing their currency? Everything we've heard about Changpeng Zhao, Binance being insolvent, people can't take their money off, you name it, it's been from the Wall Street Journal. So the Wall Street Journal claimed that both Binance and Tether were actually helping to fund and raise money for the current event that's going on in that part of the world. The article in question and subsequent reports of the same manner have since been refuted by a number of blockchain companies. One of the reasons why I really like the internet, and I mean really, really like it, is that things are relatively permanent. Relatively. Of course, you can delete stuff, what have you, yada, yada, but the things that go there tend to generally stick. A number of years ago, remember, and this is probably also the reason why a lot of you also didn't get into the cryptocurrency space, is because you heard that crypto was terrible. Crypto was awful. Crypto was only being used by criminals and ladies of the night and other things of that nature. And then we had two companies pop up. They were Chainalysis and Glassnode. And they did extensive work through all the major blockchains to see exactly what percentage of this money from Bitcoin, from Ether, from XRP, from Cardano was being used for illicit purposes. You know, those bad things. They both came to the same similar conclusion, that it was 0.05%, not 1%. It was 1/20th of 1% of transactions they believed could be deemed and or looked at as illicit. So all the news for years that we kept on getting, that 70-80% of the cryptocurrency space was just criminals, was just crime, was just something terrible, was a complete and utter lie. About 2 weeks ago, I began to see reports that the cryptocurrency, you must have seen them as well, that a lot of the money that was funding the event was explicitly from crypto. And I remember when I saw it on the news, I clicked away quickly because I was like, that's nonsense. But then it kept on being reported over and over. And I said, that's really weird, because every time anything happens around the world, it's usually done in US dollars. A lot of times it's also denominated in euros or any other strong world fiat currency that is relatively liquid. We've known for a while, of course, logically, if there's a new payment method, there may be people out there who want to use it. So it's not surprising that crypto could be used for these activities. But the best thing about it is that when this news comes out, we now have these companies who scour the blockchain. They look at where this money is going, and multiple companies came back and said, no, that's not, that money's not from Binance or Tether is not being used for these terrible operations. The problem is when you backtrack it, you sit there and go, okay, cool. You know, it's not their problem. But then you have to look up and go, who made the accusations? Why is the Wall Street Journal always in the news talking negatively about Binance and Tether? What do they have to gain from it? Why would you always make sure that everything that you say about the cryptocurrency space and Binance and Tether is always negative in an effort to get them in trouble? And then you backtrack a little bit more, and then you go, why is Cynthia Loomis in the conversation? Why is she saying that they should be litigated? They should be? Binance and Tether, because of a fake article, Cynthia Loomis is now saying that Binance and Tether need to be litigated by the Department of Justice? Loomis's letter noted the likelihood of inaccuracies in the Wall Street Journal reporting, but insisted that the Justice Department exercise judicial might to counter, I also can't say that word on this video. it's always about money. But then you realize a lot of the people are so slimy, and so it is. I had hoped years ago that the cryptocurrency space would have been something completely different, but I think we're nearly well beyond that at this point. We do not have the same number of slimy actors that we did a number of years ago. These are the creators of the Bitcoin forks. These are the creators of other coins. These are the people who told you that their coins and their chains were going to be amazing. These are the people who told you not to buy Bitcoin, not to buy. These are the people who told you not to buy XRP when it was less than 1 cent, who told you not to buy Ether when it was at 50 cents. These people still exist, but in a different manner. A lot of what we've heard from Cynthia Loomis over the last couple of years had to basically do with what she claimed to be some type of like economic freedom and or what have you within the cryptocurrency space, more freedom for Bitcoin, more, this kind of, oh yeah, Bitcoin for everyone, freedom for everyone. Why do we not have a Bitcoin ETF? No, we need more rules and regulations to protect consumers. But there's always, when it comes to power and money, there's always a really weird flip side. So I'm certain that a lot of you saw the news that allegedly cryptocurrencies were the main form of finance for current world events. One, that is untrue. Two, it is usually always the US dollar and sometimes the euro, but you will never hear people talking about banning those or how the people who print the US dollars or who sometimes supply people with US dollars, that they should be getting in trouble. Three, Cynthia Loomis, there's also one other person, but I think she's the main figurehead here. What are you doing? Why are you saying that Binance needs to be investigated and Tether because of recent world events when you know that they are not responsible? A lot of the news that we get, like the news I'm giving you right now, is usually known immediately within the first couple of days by higher ups in the actual, in world governments. The news that we get is like drips from within the wall that we are lucky enough to be like, okay, this is the actual piece of news that we have gotten. That is to say, during current events in the world, they probably knew within a couple of days exactly where money had been moving to, because we're not using, pen and paper anymore. We have computers. We have ways of tracking finance and money moving around the world. So they knew nearly instantaneously. But saying that regardless of all of that and all the other lies against Binance and Tether, because they did what everyone else did not do first, should now be investigated for criminal activity by the Department of Justice when you know that they did not do it, is really disgusting. There were also other people, I don't have it in here, but there have been a number of people who are very wealthy, who work for government or did work for government in the normal government space, who have recently been in the news also flapping their gums about things that they know are not true, that I could easily Google are not true. And I sit there and wonder, I'm like, you're doing this just in some sort of way to make yourself richer. There's always something behind the scenes. I have yet to personally see a complete situation where someone has stood on a table and said, I am here to help the public, and they were actually completely there to help the public. So, yes, just thought I'd spread that news so that you all understand that no, crypto is not terrible. It's not being used by monsters. It's not the worst thing on the planet. It's very weird the way that this world works. A lot of things, if you ever get a chance, and this is not tinfoil hat, Look into things. Look at backwards. It's the same exact thing. Remember a couple of years ago where we all got news around 2020 when stocks and stuff were really collapsing. The people who sold their stocks before and the way that they deal and how they know about market movements weeks before everyone else. And then they'll go on stage and tell everyone, oh my gosh, yes, so many things are going on. You know, we're here with all of you. And it's like, you're not. You're always just there to profit for yourself. You don't care about anyone else. So yeah, that's the Binance and Tether news. I would love to live in a world where these things were not reality, where we simply got real news and we simply all treated each other with kindness and weren't slimy and snaky in so many different ways. Do you understand like the magnitude of saying that these two companies should be investigated and have actions against them for something that we know that they did not do? It's really, I don't care for the companies that we have who scour through the chains, but it's definitely moments like this where I'm like, we need them. We need them to like bring a reality check to all of this, because you'd be able to go into the news and just lie to everyone consistently. Anyway, before my blood pressure rises anymore, I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.